Thank you for being here, and Madam President, thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us. I think it's very, very important, especially for me as coming from Alliance for Europe, to have the European country among us and the leader of the European country, and the country that should belong in here, although it's still the last dictatorship, but I hope that not for long. And listening to all of the conversations before, I think that there was a lot of dispute and discussion about cybersecurity threats, understanding, finally we're getting there, that there is political understanding as well of what disinformation and cyber threats are doing to democracy and are doing for our future. Looking at it, it's also the matter of the security. And we are a day before Munich security conference in here. Finally, also disinformation is coming at the main stages of the conference. And it's coming to the main political agenda. I'm very happy also that the Weimar Triangle ministers recently mentioned the disinformation as one of the main, countering Russian disinformation as one of the main points of its declaration. And when we're talking about the security, and the state security, it all starts of the people and its citizen, and of the fear. And having you in here, coming from Belarus, and knowing very, very deeply of what Russian propaganda and Belarusian propaganda is doing to people, you are a leader of amazing people that are fighting for freedom, but also a wife of a YouTube blogger that started his fight thanks to the free internet. And if you can share your story of how the fear and how the freedom as well made you to be who you are right now.
First of all, I want to say thank all of you that you are here with me today. I want to believe that you want to learn more about Belarus, that is in the center of Europe and has huge importance to security architecture of whole Europe. And you know, for those who don't know anything about me, just I was ordinary housewife for all my life, but when my husband back in 2020 decided to run for presidency because people asked him, he was a very popular YouTube blogger, regime put him in jail immediately, and I ran instead of him just out of love, just to show him my love. But then I found a huge support from Belarusians, and in elections we have all the data that I won elections, but dictator Lukashenko, he seized power and launched the hugest repressions that Belarus experienced ever. And you know, for 3.5 years already, we are fighting this regime both inside the country and outside the country. Since 2020, at least 500,000 of Belarusians had to flee Belarus because of repressions, and we have thousands of political prisoners inside the country, and the number of these prisoners is increasing every day. So repressions are continuing. So, but you know, regime using propaganda didn't manage to persuade Belarusians that Lukashenko is wonderful for our country, because back in 2020 Belarusians made their choice, and now they are defending their choice. And you know, of course, we understand that propaganda or misinformation has no borders. But I think that countering propaganda in democratic countries and in dictatorship is two different things. Because in democratic countries you have all the tools, you know, of fact-checking. You can, like, I don't know, ensure that you are thinking critically, that you check, you know, both sides of media. But in Belarus, all the media in our country, they are ruined. all alternative media, alternative voices that are not loyal to the regime, they are declared as extremists. And if people in Belarus are looking for honest news, they can be put in prison for this. Just imagine if you are subscribed on some alternative channels, or you are watching alternative bloggers or media, and if you, on the streets, you are stopped by KGB, they immediately check your phone, and if they see that, I don't know, you put like on any tweet, or you comment something, like 5-6 years in jail. This is your destiny. So it's extremely difficult, to follow honest news. But despite of this, people in our country, they are looking for opportunities, to reach honest news. They're using VPNs. They have two mobiles, for example, one clear phone just for KGB to check, and another one hiding somewhere just to read honest news. So it's so difficult to follow news on the one hand, but on the other, this media space, cyberspace is the only safe space for Belarusians and for us as democratic forces to provide that Belarusians know what's going on in the world. So we are trying hard to achieve audience inside the country, but of course, dictators are also learning. They also using cyberspace in full to attack honest news, to attack media, and to spread their fake news.
And following up on this, we are having a room where we have quite a lot of different platforms and tech companies. Do you think that there is a possibility to get the support from business partners and the platforms to ensure more of the free internet? I know that Lukashenko is already doing a lot in terms of bring the regulations and put even more censorship for you, and trying to as well fight all of the communication coming from the opposition. But you do a lot. As you said, you try to get to the Belarusian citizens within it. How you can think you can get the support from the business?
No, I think that it's a critical moment of our history for physical security, but also it's a critical moment for tech companies and businesses to show that they are on good side of this history. We have to request or to demand from tech companies that they are also at the table, because in some aspects, tech companies are even more powerful than politics, for example, than politicians. And we, of course, we are communicating with Google, Meta, TikTok, or all these platforms to persuade them that they have to, they don't have to help dictators to win this media fight. I'll give you some examples from Belarus. When KGB detain people, they make these people to record confessional video. It means that person say that I have done this or that, even if he haven't done this, and they promote this video. They advertise these videos, propaganda. And we are working with Google, with YouTube, that they have to restrict promoting these videos. They are cooperating with us, of course, but sometimes algorithms are not so fast. Also, now Belarusian national identity is under huge threat. We see how Russia is subjugating our country piece by piece. Actually, Lukashenko is selling our country piece by piece, and we see the process of Russification of Belarus. And we're trying to promote Belarusian language, Belarusian content. But again, for Google, for example, it's easier to promote Russian narratives, Russian language than Belarusians. But how can we strengthen our language, our national identity, if we can't use it properly in internet? Internet is like a battlefield, and we have to win here. And we need, again, all tech companies to be more responsible and to watch closely whom they are helping.
Very good call. I am coming from Poland, and we just had a good elections on the 15th of October. But we did monitor the space with Alliance for Europe, the FR Lab, Atlantic Council, and Press, and several different analysts on the ground using the ZERM framework and checking what is really happening in there. We've seen a lot of Russian and Belarusian disinformation and phishing attacks, and most important narratives that been there were anti-Ukrainian refugees, as we are having a lot of relative refugees. We've been talking about it before, that one of the main tactics of the Russian disinformation is to polarize the society and to put the us versus them narrative. I know that you are facing this as well. Russia is very much involved to polarize Belarusians and Ukrainians, but also a lot of Belarusian opposition, including you, is right now in Lithuania, and there were also similar attempts right there, right?
You know, Belarusian propaganda, they are repeating Russian narratives that Ukrainians are our enemy, that the West is rotten, you know, that our future can be only with Russia. And but honestly speaking, Belarusian people don't believe this propaganda, and for example, about 80–85% of Belarusians don't support participating of Belarus in this war. They know who is responsible for all the restrictions, sanctions on Belarus, and of course, you know, propaganda is trying to persuade that all are enemies around us. You know, Poland, I don't know, Ukrainians want to invade Belarus in the future. And of course, it's again, we have to have strong alternative media to counter these narratives. And you know, Russia's aim is much broader than Belarusian propaganda, because Belarusian propaganda wants to subjugate Belarusians, you know, want to persuade Belarusians that they have to be loyal to Lukashenko and so on and so forth. But in modern context of the war between Russia and Ukraine, Russia's propaganda aim is to split people and to split nations. Now they're trying to work in democratic countries, trying to persuade people, ordinary people, that look, it's not your war in Ukraine. Why should you sacrifice with your cozy lives because of Ukrainians? It's their war. Leave them alone. You don't have to help them. And we see how some politicians using these populistic narratives, you know, just to influence people. You know, some politicians, they're trying to propose simple solutions to difficult situations, but there can't be simple solutions in the case of this war. You know, some politicians say about appeasement, but we have to know that dictators cannot be appeased, cannot be re-educated. And I think that it's every person's responsibility, you know, to think critically. If we lose Ukraine, if we lose Belarus, it means that we betray democratic values. And democratic values is what unite people in democratic countries. Democracy has to show its teeth, that we can counter propaganda, that we can counter dictators, and just be now even more united than ever. We have to explain that lose of Ukraine means lose of, as I said, you know, of our values, and it's every person's responsibility. Yeah.
Exactly, and you often. You're often saying that there is no European security without free Belarus. And I would say that Belarus is also a good example, because you are coming from the country that had a huge propaganda, that Russia and also Belarusian dictatorship were using propaganda and fear and all of those techniques to violate the human rights, but to also make people not to stand out. What we are seeing right now in the West is similar. It's something that we need to stand out together, using the whole society approach that we've been talking, to actually make sure that citizens are free thinkers and are critical thinkers, and that they are aware that this information is out there, but still that it will not change the attitudes and will not change the election results and democracies in the future. But why it's still the positive example is that first of all, we've been elected, and second of all, also we've been talking about the European attempts of Belarus, right? Still, even though there is hard to get surveys in Belarus at this moment, there are surveys saying that there is double of number of Ukrainians that are still pro-European and want to and feel European, and that they are against it, right? So, what do you think that still can be done more to even bring more people, more Belarusian to the European side?
You know, we as democratic forces, you know, we and people in Belarus, we understand that future of our country is in Europe. We actually want to return to our roots, because Belarus has always belonged to Europe, and only 200 years it was under Soviet Union or Russian ego, if I can say so. So we just declared we want to be in a democratic, free country, and no one, like bigger brother, can dictate what we should do or what we shouldn't. So Belarusian people understand that, especially after the war, it became understood that we are not the same as regime in Russia. We want better future for ourselves, and we have to distinguish Lukashenko's regime and people. Lukashenko's regime chose Russia as the only ally. He gave our country as a launching pad for missiles. He dragged our country into the war, and so he's responsible for this. But most of Belarusians, they want to Europe. They want to cut this, ties between Belarus and Russia. So, of course, you talked about surveys. You know, actually, now it's impossible in Belarus even to hold any surveys. Any surveys in our country are criminalized. And of course, if any person call you or asking on you in internet whom you are supporting, democratic forces or Lukashenko, of course, people, they can't answer, I support Tsikhanouskaya democratic forces, because in next minute, KGB will knock to your doors. It's difficult to understand, how people think in reality when you're in constant pressure, expecting that you can be put in jail for years. So, but in 2020, and I want to repeat, especially after the war, Belarusians realized that our future is in Europe. And what we need now, that not only us, who want to return to our roots, but also European politicians and European people repeat that, look, our doors are open to you. You're part of our family. We are waiting for you. When the moment comes, our doors will be opened. Because people who are fighting dictatorship for many years already, of course they're exhausted and they need inspiration, they need positive messages, they need to understand what they are fighting for and what they sacrifice their freedom and lives for. So we need more openness from democratic society. And I'm really grateful for this panel, because when people, I don't want Belarusians to feel abandoned and forgotten. It's so difficult to fight when you think that you're alone. And I see, similar situation about Ukraine. And when some politicians say, oh, look, there is fatigue about Ukraine. Look, say about fatigue to people in prisons in Belarus, or about or fatigue to soldiers who are in cold trenches, defending Ukraine. How can you, politicians who have power or people in democratic countries, can feel fatigue? It's like your personal contribution in your region's security. Believe me, again, I want to repeat, if you lose Ukraine and Belarus now, next whom dictators will knock, it will be your doors. What will you do then?
Coming from Poland, I feel that very much. So yes, that's definitely a call for, again, coming together and really fighting what we can bring and having hopefully Ukraine and Belarus together. Question from the... No, okay. So we're finishing. Thank you so much for this. And yes, I think that's a great call to all of us to actually come together and have Belarus and Ukraine in the European Union. I would like to see that hopefully very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.